Okay, we've got Michelle. Hey, hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, how are you doing?
You're special because you're just like my partner, Michelle with one L. How many times do you have to tell people that a day?
Most of the time I don't even bother, honestly.
Unless you're spelling your email.
Exactly. You know, it's funny because for years, my company had it wrong on our contact directory, like probably 10 years, and I never even said anything because it's always right on my signature line, you know, so I didn't really care.
So, shall we get started? You want to let a couple more people in, or?
Oh no, yeah. Let's give it a couple minutes after 2. We're just letting people kind of load in and join. I see some familiar faces. I see some bike riders.
You see bike riders?
Yeah. I see CA
Shay?
Pocket Listing.
Oh yeah, that's a bike rider. That's a bike rider indeed.
I ran into him.
You know, you'll see bike riders, you'll see all types of people here, but one thing in common is we're all in real estate.
One way or another, yes.
One way or another.
And by the way, I also have a Michelle in my office. I think she may join us too. She's Michelle with double L.
Awesome.
Basic Michelle.
I have 3 Michelles that work for me. So we just
fun.
call each other by our last names.
So
that's absolutely the easiest way to get a nickname.
Yep. That's how I got mine, Chuck. That's how I got my nickname on Instagram.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Which is what?
So my last name is Weill, and so my Instagram is Wiley Coyote.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
That's old school though.
Yeah, the new generation probably doesn't even know about that.
They don't. You're right. Oh, we have a Michael.
Oh, we do. I see
Michael.
Yeah. I see Danny. I see Shay. All right, we got some new faces.
I think in the next 30 seconds, we're going to have a few more. Here we go.
And we are also streaming live on YouTube, which I'm going to check right now that it's working, and Facebook.
2 different Facebook pages. One is Leor's and one is our Rubbing Elbows page and closed Facebook group. So anyone on here that's not in the group that wants to join, feel free. We're only going to have amazing people like Michelle. And obviously, we've had other guests in the past that whoever didn't catch those episodes, there's recaps for every one of them. We'll do one for this one as well. I am going to...
Yeah, let's give it another minute, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Okay. I'm getting people texting me saying that they're waiting to get approved for the host to approve them. Okay, now he's in. Now this person's in. Okay. Okay. Oh, I see you all. Danny, what's up, Danny? What's up, Shay? I didn't even see your faces before. What's up, Mike? Roman. Ooh, got the mask on and everything.
Double mask.
I'm not contagious via Zoom.
Yeah, does that mask pass the flame test?
Yeah, let's unmute Roman. What's up, Roman?
You guys aren't actually live here, you meant, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hello, everyone.
Oh, we've got Rosaline. Okay. I think we can get started. People are going to be coming in, but it is what it is. It's 2. We got to be punctual.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So Chuck, you want to take it away or?
Sure. Yeah, we've got. I want to make sure that where's Michelle? I want to make sure that I describe your position and what you do correctly. So we've got Michele Weill from Lawyer's Title. You are the VP and
LA County Sales Manager.
awesome. Okay. And we're going to start with just your journey, how you got started. I'm sure everyone here is going to have questions at the end, but just first of all, I want to thank you for being with us. The whole idea with Rubbing Elbows was to get people in the industry all connected and, you know, not let this coronavirus thing stop us from networking and doing what we need to be doing. Or vaping. We've got someone vaping right with us right here. Hey there, buddy.
No, and thank you, Chuck. I appreciate you asking me to come on to your call. I love hearing what everybody has to say every single day. You know, our world is changing, and so this is kind of our new world, right? And it actually allows us to speak to each other more often. It used to just be like a like on Facebook and, you know, a like on Instagram. Now this is our new reality, and you know, it's also new for me. Just a little background on me. I have been at Lawyer's Title for, it'll be 22 years this summer. I moved to Los Angeles and I started working there and I haven't left. So before that, I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area. I started out in customer service. I went to work as a marketing director at a bank, World Savings and Loan actually. And from there, I got into lending. And from lending, I ended up in title. And once I started at this company, I sort of just climbed up the ladder. And the way Chuck asked me a question, you know, how did I move up the executive food chain? Really, it was just a matter of, I was kind of a computer nerd, kind of a computer geek, and I was a salesperson. So every single time, and I'm a go-getter, so every single time something would go wrong with a department inside of our company, my boss would call me and say, hey, I need you to come in, something's wrong. And it would be like, oh, well, the customer service manager quit. Can you take over that department? And that really is how I took over every department. And I'm really good in operations. And the thing that I do best is being able to take a situation and figure out a solution and move forward. And that's just pretty much how each position has been for me. And I have 30 sales reps and 73 inside people. So everybody reports up to me, but I do have amazing managers underneath me. The one thing my boss always taught me is if you don't hire good people underneath you, you'll never make it because you'll kill yourself, right? And it's so true. If you don't have good people underneath you, and if you're not afraid one of them is going to take your job, then you're in the wrong position. And that was really good advice because you should never be afraid to hire good people. And one of the things that I'm the worst at also is delegating, because I feel like I can do everything easier and better than everybody else, right? But you can't get enough done in the day by doing that. So that's basically how I got to where I am. And I love my company. I love my reps. We've been working together, like I said, for 22 years. So it's a pretty well-oiled machine, and everything reports up to me. Everything that affects the sales reps reports up to me so that I can instantly make a change or get something done for them so that they can support you guys out in the field. And that's really what it's all about. You know, our job is to support everybody, all of our clients out in the field. And so every single day, that's pretty much what I do, is figure out how to make that happen today, tomorrow, and in 5 years, and how we're still going to be viable in the industry. So,
fantastic. I actually wanted to have a follow-up question with just from a upper management perspective. One, seeing where we are and where we're going to be and how the COVID is really affecting things like binders or lot ties or title related issues that require a manager to step in, that require not just your title rep to handle it for you, like some of the more complex things.
Right. Okay. So we have, lawyer's title is a little unique in this situation. We have our own local underwriter. All of our underwriters do report up to, we're all owned by the Fidelity Group. So Fidelity, Lawyers, Chicago, Tycor, all of those title companies are owned by the Fidelity Group. We all report up to the same underwriter, but our underwriter, he is able to work on any transaction up to $25 million, and he has the authority for that. So that makes a huge difference for us at lawyers. We don't have to, throw it up to the underwriters at 5 million to get something done. It's a huge competitive advantage for us, and we talk about that all the time. As far as binders and even 1031 exchange, all of that stuff, all of those timeframes have been extended, which is nice. And there's one of your other questions, Chuck, was like, what other issues typically come up where I would have to get upper management involved? And basically, it's my underwriter who's local with me and myself, basically, and we make pretty much all of the local decisions. But right now, it's indemnities with mechanics liens, demands, expired demands not being here. Those deals are really hard to close. And the worst one right now are IRS and federal liens, where there's like 35 to 45 day turnaround on those demands right now. And it's really tough to close a deal. So what we've done is, so my underwriter went to upper management and said, hey, we've got to close these deals. We've got some information. So we kind of changed our own guidelines, and up to a specific amount, we'll take 1.5 times. And then if you go over, I think it's 250, it's 2 times. We'll hold that until we get the demand. Prior to that, we weren't holding for federal or IRS liens, but these times, we have to change things. We have to work with people, 1031 exchange people. There's people in the middle of 1031 exchanges right now freaking out, but they got a 120-day extension. And, we work with that. When it comes to binders, we work with our clients anyways. A binder's 2 years. We often let them extend it for 3, 4, we're being broadcast, right? But you can extend it for 3, 4, however many years. There's just an extension fee for that.
So I wanted to jump in and ask you a question, because in the beginning, in your intro, you were talking about your team and how amazing your team is and the hiring process. And in real estate and also in lending, everybody is going into these super teams, right? Everybody is building these amazing teams. What kind of tips, since you've built such a successful one, what kind of tips can you give to realtors that are trying to identify good talent, and then maybe how you handle your hiring process to make sure, because everybody looks good at an interview, or a lot of people do, and sometimes it's not like that. So how can you help us there?
So you cannot interview for work ethic, right? Because everybody looks good and everybody says what you want them to hear, but you cannot interview for work ethic. That is one thing. And over the years, so it's just, it comes and goes, but you have to be able to identify it early on and be able to get rid of that person. What I do is we have a process, and the only time I ever deviate from if I'm hiring a sales rep, the only time I deviate from my hiring process, if it's a top producer, or somebody who's doing very well in the market. If it's anybody else, I will not deviate from my process. And it usually it goes like this: you come in, you have an interview. If I like you, I'll send you out and I will have you either do some surveys. If you've never been in the business, I'll have you do surveys. And usually if the person's not a go-getter, they won't go do those surveys, right? They have to walk in and interview 10 to 15 real estate agents. If you're already in the business, I have them do ride-alongs with my reps. 4 full days. I choose 4 different reps for them to ride along. They can ask any questions. They have to meet at a certain place, make the call, set it up, do all of those things. And usually with that, things kind of come out in the wash. With new trainees, I also make them come in to my Burbank location for the first 30 days. And that's 9 to 5 training. And I will send them out and do things with the reps. But if they can do all of those things, then I know they're going to be committed to the process. And the biggest thing is everybody wants to just get hired, and even reps that are in the territory, they just want to get hired and start working and get out there. But even with reps who have been in the business, our company runs different and our culture is different, and we've set the company up that way, and that's why we're successful. So I don't allow them to deviate from that process. I don't just give them business cards and say, go get business. I want them to learn, about the company and the way we do things, and so that they're not out there harry-carry all the time. And so I put a lot of training time and a lot of effort into them. So I want to make sure that they're going to stick after 30 to 60 days. So it's very important to stay consistent with your process.
Okay, very good. And, one of the questions that everybody is so curious about right now is what's going to happen? What's happening in the market, right? And initially we saw that there was a tremendous slowdown in new escrows. I've read a report recently, just in the last couple of days from CNBC, that there has been a spike in transactions because of mortgage rates dropping down and a little bit more confidence coming back. What are you seeing? You're seeing all the numbers from, behind the scenes. What are you seeing happening now? And then follow up to that, where do you see the market in 9 to 12 months from now?
Okay, so we're in our 3rd week of positive uptick when it comes to both resales and refis. But typically we're looking at the housing market with resales right now. So it's our 3rd week with a positive uptick. This week, because they started, all the politicians started talking very positively last week, we started seeing an uptick. Now that we sort of know that there's an end or a modified end, where it's been about a 25% increase. Real estate offices are not going to open in this phase, right? No office is going to open in this phase, but you guys can go show real estate agents can go show property, and that is a huge positive. And you can do it in a way that you don't necessarily need to go into your office and those kind of things. However, it's, I'm afraid that offices are going to open, not just your office, but all kinds of stuff is going to open, and they're going to pull back the reins a little bit. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that, but because of all the positive news, things are ticking up. Like I said, we had like a 25% increase. I projected for the next 2 weeks another 15% increase. I was being a little conservative because I wasn't sure what they were going to put out today and tomorrow when they actually go and talk about the list. But I do know that, it's going to be modified. It's going to be slow, but we're in the real estate industry. We're very resourceful, right? So in title, we're actually considered essential. And I know that real estate agents, you guys aren't considered essential yet, but if you are in escrow, then you're considered essential. Is that correct?
I'm not sure, Chuck. You should know that better.
I think every agent considers themselves extremely essential.
Right, I know. Us too. We all do too. But as far as you opening an office, being able to open your office and have everybody come back in, I think we're definitely 30 days away from that. But I don't think that's gonna hurt right now, where we're going, because everybody's starting to show properties. People have been holding on to listings, and I've been on so many calls, and people have been holding on to their listings, and then people are like, oh, get them out there. And there's two different thoughts. I don't know which one's right, but what I do know is I was on a webinar yesterday, and they were talking about how much increase there has been on searches for real estate and stuff like that. It's almost doubled since we've been in quarantine. So people are either buyers are looking or sellers are looking to sell, right? Regardless, they're looking at real estate and they're ready to do something. So I'm doing my projections right now. Chuck asked what I thought was going to happen a year from now. I have no idea. We have no idea. Even the upper echelon, we just got a new budget package. We spend weeks doing our budgets, and now they sent us a new budget package and said, redo it, right? So they sent us all these numbers and percentages that they think we're going to be up and down and all of that. And they're usually really good about it. I don't think we will know until we get to about June and we see what's happening with the world's economy. Because if the world's economy is not stimulated around June or July, things are going to be a little bit different. We're really positive right now. We're heading up. Listings are coming on the market. Listing prices are, the houses that are being listed right now are at the higher prices than most listings that were have been put on the market in the last month, I would say, just because everybody's positive. And real estate agents, you guys look at it week by week, right? And you're like, okay, where's the market? Where should I list? What's the property worth? That kind of thing. And I just think we're in that positive zone now. But we really don't know. I'm projecting for my third quarter, I'm projecting to be up 25% from my
Wow.
My first quarter was amazing, like amazing, even though the last 2 weeks of March. But, and in Los Angeles, we had 16,400 and something transactions in the first quarter and 15,400 in 2019. So we were up, right? 6% from the year before already in the first quarter. Everybody's rolling, right? And then the pump the brakes. With lenders, the thing is we don't know if everybody's going to have a job. We don't know for the people who don't have jobs when they're going to get their jobs back. That could be a 30, 60, 90 day role that we don't know about. I look every 90 days to see where we're at. I look at open orders, and that's in our company. We look at open orders to see how many employees we have and are those orders going to close so that we can actually employ that many employees. Right now,
You're referring to like people's income changing, right?
People's income changing. People, if they're laid off, they're not going to be able to qualify for a loan. So in March and the first 2 weeks in April, for us as a company, we just assumed that 40% of the refis that opened were going to close and 60% were not going to close. We assumed that 60% of those refis were going to be ghost orders, because between March 15th and April 15th, that's when everybody got laid off, right? And so a lot of people who started a refi who freaked out and said, oh, I need to refi my house. A lot of those people don't have jobs today.
Right.
And And now a lot more people are starting to lose jobs. I mean, look at Realtor.com just laid off a bunch of people, and
Yeah.
it's really starting now with the layoffs. And so I don't know what that's going to look like.
Yeah, and we also don't know anybody that's taken a forbearance, how that's going to be treated and looked at. There's still uncertainty there, and many people, even if they haven't lost their jobs, have taken the option of deferring their payments, and that, as of now, that's a problem. We don't know if they're going to fix that, afterwards. But
by the way, before you jump into your next question, I want to point out that we are going to have one of the senior managers from Realtor.com with us next week. So we're definitely going to be talking about that next Thursday too. And then I want to echo what you were saying about people showing properties and a lot of people holding properties. Like myself, I'm in the off-market space. So is Shay from CA Pocket Listing. So is Roman Schercher. So is Michael. And then you'll see, I mean, if you're getting Rosaline's emails of all these things that are coming soon and all these things that are, are coming out there, people are hanging on to their listings because you can't show it. And it's going to work for some people and it's not going to work for some people, but thank God for me, it's working because we're in that place. Once it starts opening up, things can change. I wanted to ask you, and this is something that Leo and I were talking about, in regards to how it used to be with lenders, realtors being able to get all types of perks, data, farming, things like that from their title rep. That's changed, obviously. But is there anything now that agents have, figured out loopholes or whatever to kind of be able to still get some benefits from their title reps? Have you heard of anything that works for your reps?
So right now it's all about data and data manipulation, right? And there's a lot of great sources out there for data. I actually, right before this, I was on another call and I just signed a contract with them. And I have to test it, but they supposedly have the cell phone, email, social media, all of that for every single house in America. And it's actually tied to the address instead of the click. A lot of the sources out there right now tie to the click, right? So you go on, if you want to find an email, you have to click. If you want to find a cell phone, you have to click. And so it becomes very expensive. This source, I really like it, and I'll throw it out there to you guys once I sign the contract and everything. And then, so as a title company, we can sign up for it, and then you guys can go underneath us and pull the data. So that's really the only workaround, and none of it is legal for us to do for you guys. Do title companies do it all the time? Absolutely.
So you're saying it's a service that you guys would basically pay for and have as a something that's kind of included in the service that you're already offering?
Well, we'd be the enterprise, and then you guys could sign up underneath. And I'm not sure about all the details because I just got off that call. Typically, you're going to have to pay for your data, but there are ways to get it, like through different farming programs and stuff that we have. So those are things that, who's your rep? Do I have a rep that you guys work with, Chuck?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. I'm not
So
sure. I don't do the retail stuff myself.
So I'll get my rep in touch with you, and they can kind of talk to you guys about it. But there's so much data out there right now that there's for our farms program. If you pull a farm, and your farm could actually be your own farm, right? Your own sphere of influence. They pull it in, they attach APNs to it, And then you never have to ask title for your farm again because it automatically updates. And what it updates are NODs, marriage, divorces, all of those kind of things. And you can have your email in there, and you can have cell phones and all of that. So if you're not working with some sort of CRM or some sort of farming program that automatically gives you all of that information, we can definitely help you with that.
Amazing. That's definitely something we want to hear about more. So one of the ways that we connect after is through the comments, like on YouTube, there's comments, and we're able to kind of go back and communicate that way.
Great.
Lior, do you have any other questions, or do we want
Yeah,
to
I do.
up?
And actually, we're gonna be running up on 30 minutes here, so I'll open it up very soon to questions. So start thinking of questions that you guys have out there. But I did want to ask you, you see so many transactions coming in. I'm sure you see more common mistakes happen. What kind of common mistakes do you see that could be avoided? What kind of tips can you give agents that you see happening a lot that hurt a transaction or potentially even kill a transaction?
So obviously getting the SI in early and not, jamming the SI at the last minute is very important. That's one of the biggest issues that I see. If there's construction, a lot of times we don't know there's construction until we get the documents and we see a construction loan. Right now, hard money lenders, like a lot of companies aren't doing hard money loans, right?
Right.
So for us, we do them with clients that are our current clients and that we have track record with. And as things start loosening up, and the reason, I'll tell you guys, the reason why we kind of, all the industry backed out of that is because, we are a juggernaut. And for us to move 90 people home in 1 week to work from home was an amazing accomplishment. But, everybody's disjointed. You don't have the person working next to you that you're working next to. And even with technology, things get missed. And when you're trying to close a transaction and you're up against it and, you have little things, I think right now, probably going back to your question, that the biggest thing is make sure everything's in on time and not at the last minute. It's the biggest mistake people are making right now because, everybody is working remotely, and it's a lot more difficult to get that to the close at the end.
What are you seeing as the average time to close an escrow right now?
I mean, we typically on our refi desk, we're closing 70, 80 a day on my title refi desk. So they're rolling through them. On a resale, it just depends on the transaction. It depends on, if everything's in there. If there's an indemnity package, if you're working with new construction and there's an indemnity package, we've got to have that. FinCEN's crazy too, right? So if, we have to come back and you have to fill out FinCEN packages. And most of it should just be, if it really is just about getting everything done on time. And we take packages all the way up until the last minute. But if everything's like that and, you're sitting on a desk with a lot of business, it makes it a little bit more difficult,
Yeah.
Efficiency, basically.
I wanna open it up for
Yeah,
some
if anybody,
questions, because we
if
have
anybody
all
has
types of.
questions.
Sorry, Leo. Yeah, we have just all types of people here. We have, we have Brian Payne, who's one of the biggest monster agents who kind of runs Encino. And then we have Katya, who's, she's been kind of moving around and looking for the right place for her as far as teams and strategies and things like that. And then Roman, who I've actually known Roman since I was 10 years old. And we both do real estate now. So I'm sure everybody has. Yeah.
So if you do have a question on the bottom, if you click on reactions and then like click on the thumbs up. You see how I have a thumbs up next to me. I'll go ahead and unmute you, and then you can go ahead and ask your question if anybody has one right now.
So I have one more thing that Chuck,
Yes.
you asked about things that people are doing right now. And on the data call that I was just on, it's all about, investors that have units with renters not paying, absentee owners that aren't here, who have renters who are not paying, being able to pull that. And they talked about end of lease coming up and going after those. So, and making sure you're manipulating your database, making sure you have emails and cell phones and all that kind of stuff.
Very nice.
You're saying
All right.
end of lease, meaning going after the people that just were assuming they're not paying?
Yep. The lease is coming up. I guess you can go on, and this I didn't know, so I need to look into it, but I'm sure you guys know it like the back of your hand. Go on the MLS, see when leases are coming up, contact those people.
Yeah. I think Roman may have had a question.
I'm sorry, Roman.
Hey, Roman, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I do have a question. And I'm not sure if this is within your scope or not, but are you seeing a lot of legal actions between tenants and landlords? I have a number of situations, a number of clients that are trying to sell their properties, but they have tenants in there. These tenants, evictions or moratorium on evictions is hitting landlords hard throughout the Southland, especially with our high rents. You're seeing a lot of legal action occur between these tenants as they attempt to forgo paying rents, and also are you requiring any certain documentation on closing of transactions where there are tenants in place?
So I have not seen a lot of that yet, but we do expect to see that, obviously. I actually don't have an answer for you as to how we're going to handle it. But I'll go back to my underwriter and ask him, because you're right, we do expect to see that. As far as, let me just think about that.
Addendums. Because we're seeing a lot of new language. I'm seeing a lot of new language of people that who have hold harmless, indemnification, a lot of language like that people are putting in their listings, and their off-market send-outs that they're requiring of people entering their property. Waivers of liability, basically.
Yeah, it's the whole thing, just putting together a plan. It's all about not getting sued, right? It's all about, for you guys, it's all about not getting sued and be able to close your transaction. For us, it's being able to close our transaction and make sure that we're giving free and clear title. That's where we'll always come from for you, for your client. So I'll definitely talk to my underwriter and see if I can get some language for you guys on that. It's a great question. I mean, we're spending days putting together documents on exactly how, when we bring our employees back, how that's going to look, what we can ask them to do. Can we ask them to take, we can't ask them to take their temperature, those kind of things. But, it's all a very difficult situation. And, even, listing appointments, and do they hold you harmless, and how do you do it, and what happens if? And I listen to a lot of brokers talking about that all the time.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Anybody else have a question? Brian, let me get you unmuted. Go ahead, Brian.
No problem. How's it going, guys? I have a question regarding right now jumbo loans. It doesn't necessarily go with exactly what we're talking about, but we're all in the business here. And And I have clients who work at Citibank and Chase, and right now they stopped giving jumbo loans. Like they're checking back over the last couple of months to see pretty much if your income is the same as it was, prior to this COVID, and if you've been affected, if you own units or people aren't paying you and you're not making the same deposits, then that will offset what they're willing to do. So does anybody know of another banking source other than Chase or Wells Fargo that will obviously give a good loan, not like a hard money loan, but that's overlooking the current situation?
I can connect you with two contacts, one at Bank of the West, and we're starting to talk. Obviously, I come from the lending space, so we're starting to see some things open up very soon. Another workaround that a lot of people are taking advantage of, depending obviously on the loan amount, is the combo first and seconds. We're still able to do a second behind a first to keep the first at a high balance, but still have a total loan that's going to be jumbo. So we could talk offline and I can connect you and help you with that.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Thanks, Leroy.
Any other questions, anyone?
Okay, if you do think of anything and you want to join, by all means,
We have
drop it on the comment.
Rosaline has a question with a baby in her hand.
I'm babysitting my nephew here, so he woke up. Hi, everyone. My question is, I don't know if I missed that question, but about short sale and foreclosures.
So you didn't miss it because we didn't really talk about it, but right now we don't know what's going to happen with all the forbearance and all of that. I would say in June, are there going to be foreclosures? Yes. Are there going to be short sales? Yes. We just don't know how much of it there's going to be. 3.8 million transactions right now have forbearance on them. So, and it's not, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're in trouble or they will be in trouble. I would say if you're farming and you've been doing that, and if those people were in trouble and they're in forbearance now, obviously they're going to be in trouble when we roll out of this, right? So I don't think we're going to know that until June. That's the end of the first 90 days of forbearance that has been given to most people. Some got 120, but really the rule was 90 days, right? And really, is our economy going to be back to normal, or even it's not going to be back to normal, but are we going to be in a place where people are going to start getting their jobs back? If people don't start getting their jobs back, that's going to push a foreclosure market. Is that going to take another 90 days to happen? Yes. So I don't think we're going to see a ton of foreclosures. The one thing that I do see happening though is the iBuyers have come back into the market. Open Door came back into the market, right? And just like on the 24th. So what that means to me is they're seeing that people are going to be in trouble and need to sell their homes. And they may or may not want to use a real estate agent. And depending upon how in trouble those people are, they're hoping that they're going to get to those people. And I think several more are they're only entering at 800,000. So that's kind of where they're at right now. So that'll be their window.
Mm-hmm.
So to piggyback on that, what do you recommend for people to kind of pay attention to and watch, either certain types of reports or numbers to try to kind of determine what's coming next? What are the things that you look at?
So, well, we look at so much, but I think in the real estate industry, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Altos Research, but basically they have an algorithm, and it's by city, and I can send you guys links if you want to look at it.
Please.
But they basically tell you there's a barometer, right? And they tell you if you're in a buyer's market or a seller's market. We're in a seller's market, but they will tell you by city how quickly you're getting to a buyer's market. And once you start getting to a buyer's market, that's when your housing prices will start to adjust. And that's when everything will shift, right? So there's a specific number that you look at. Now, that's not necessarily what I look at, but I think it's a pretty good way to look at the market from the real estate side. I mean, you guys know that better, way more than I do. For me, it's all about open orders, resales, and pricing of those resales. That's what I look at every single day, every 30 days, and every 90 days. So I look at more what you guys are doing, and that's what keeps our business rolling.
Okay, very good.
Fantastic.
Any other questions?
I actually have one kind of like a final thought question. You know, initially when we put this little Zoom thing together, we were, Leo and I were talking that the intention was to connect experts, people that either have gone through the recession of 2008, 9, 7, whatever, and came out, you know, winners on the other side, or just like the name of it, rubbing elbows, where you actually kind of rubbing elbows with other pros. So if there's anyone here who ends up, you know, wanting, you know, getting a big deal into escrow, or wanting to make sure that they have, you know, somebody has their back. If, you know, if they're looking for a new, you know, title rep, if they're whatever it is. So we want to kind of keep that kind of as a whole here, meaning
Keep it in the family.
Yeah, keep it in the family. If anybody's doing a deal and you're looking for a rep, and you want Michele to, you know, appoint someone for you, that way if there is an issue, God forbid, down the line, you know, you've got the big dogs, big guns behind you.
And even if you're not looking for a rep, if you have a question, or you want me to run something by my underwriter because you're having a hard time at another company, I have no problem doing that. People call me all day long to do that. And I would love to do that for you guys. You know, we're a good resource. We have so many great people in our company, and you can use those resources, even if you're not using us for title. Our job is to support you guys out there in the field. So
Appreciate it so much.
So before we wrap up, again, I want to thank you for joining us and taking the time to share. And I want to thank everybody for joining. But we wanted to start something new and kind of finish on a high note. And anybody on this group that wants to share a win that they had this week, something that that was either business or personal, that we can all benefit from, take away, or just an interesting story, feel free to share. And Chuck, if you want to maybe get started and share, and then Michele, I would love to ask you if you have a win for this week that you can share with all of us. And anybody else, just raise your hands.
I can start with the first win. I've got a project in Koreatown. It's a fantastic project that I'm actually doing with Michael here, who Brady Bunch 2 levels down right there, if you can see him. We're doing a project, and we sent it out to a bunch of people, and there was someone building a couple of doors down from us, and we knew that would be the ideal buyer, but we had no way of really getting to this person. All the stars were aligned. We got a call, and someone connected us with that buyer. And it's fantastic, credible, competent, super duper builder. And we are in escrow as of today with him. So me and Mike have a double win here.
That's awesome. Very nice. Jessica, it looks like you were raising your hand there.
Yeah. So I had a good win I wanted to share. This last April was actually, oddly enough, the best month I had, I think, ever, Lior. I closed $3.3 million, almost $3.4 million in 1 month.
Amazing.
That was amazing. That was good for me. With homeschooling and
And leaving to Utah for a month.
With my husband.
Yeah, you're definitely killing it right now. The nice thing about that comment that you just brought up is that you had your best month, but you're lined up to actually break that again. So that's going to be exciting.
Yes, very. So I'm happy.
Very nice. Michelle, you have a win to share with us?
Yes, my win's not that great, and it's kind of silly, but so amongst all the other things that I do, I've also been spending the last probably 30 days trying to procure masks and stuff for all of our, everybody inside and for all of you guys. So finally, I got our lawyer's title masks. So,
that's awesome.
Great.
I want to pick one up today.
I'll get them to you guys. It's like, can I get masks? Can I get masks? When am I going to get them? When's my ship coming in? It's been maddening. So it's a silly win, but it's a huge win for me.
A win's a win, and that's a huge win.
That's great. I like that.
For me, on a personal level, not so much business. Yesterday was my 13-year anniversary with my wife, and so it was, with quarantine. Usually, I have the easy escape because I just make a reservation at a fancy restaurant. We go out, we enjoy. I had to get a little more creative and go back to my roots. So I got the kids off to her sister. We set up a nice little romantic jacuzzi with the candles, and it ended up being one of the best, considering all the facts. So that was a personal win on a personal level.
That's
Roman, looks like you raised your hand. Did you want to share something?
I got two wins. Number one, my 5-year-old son lost his front tooth, so he's got a big gap here, which I love when the kids do that. The
They're
big
so
win.
cute.
I pulled it out myself. That's a big win. Second win, we got a new property in Malibu, a lot. It was a burned down house that's just completely cleared. It's a beautiful lot overlooking the ocean. Got that under contract, so I'll be sending that out to people very shortly.
That's
Wonderful.
awesome. Very good.
Wonderful.
Well, I want to, Brian, looks like you're raising your hand. I'll let you be the last one, and then we'll wrap it here.
Brian always has wins.
No, I mean, I just, my win is that I had a deal that was in escrow that was on the borderline of falling out. And we got the seller to come off his price a little bit. This was right at the beginning of COVID. And it's a development deal in an area of Encino that I like to sell houses in. And we're going to close this week. And my developer is going to build one of the nicest houses in the community. So that's exciting. It actually closed tomorrow. So
Nice.
That is awesome.
All right, I want to respect everyone's time. I want to thank everybody who joined us on Facebook groups, on YouTube, on wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining us.
Just a reminder, Chuck, next week we do have David Libovich from Realtor.com. That's going to be exciting. So make sure you guys start thinking of your questions now. And other than that, if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We'll send out the link, and we'll see everybody here, same place, same time next week. Michelle, thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us.
It was nice to meet all of you.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Say bye.
Michelle.
Bye, everyone.
Michelle, information.
Yes.
I'll email you. I'll shoot you a little text in this chat so you have my email address.
Okay. Thank you, Brian.
No problem. And Lior, sorry for arriving late.
No, it's all good. Thanks for joining.
I know that was directed at me. It's all right. But yeah, I do apologize. I did come in 7, 8 minutes late, so my bad.
Thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate it.
Lior, I have your number. Hold on one sec. No, hold on one sec, okay? Lior, I think I have your number. I'm going to call you back right after this. Let me see.